name's Jackie Mansourian and I'm the Community Renewal Officer at Darebin City Council, but a significant part of that role is working with schools, all schools across the city of Darebin. Darebin Council is increasingly interested in supporting schools and supporting the learning in schools, especially of children and young people who have inequity in their lives, who experience inequity for a whole range of reasons. And CTS was working with Croxton School in relation to this pilot program. Council had also done an action research study around public education in Darebin. And the Croxton School Community Partnerships Program was a wonderful opportunity and an important opportunity for Council to strengthen its relationship with Croxton School. We wanted to form a stronger relationship with Croxton. That we didn't know what to expect or what the outcome would be. We're really committed to a developmental process as the relationship grows. The project had aims, but we didn't know what to offer as a council, and that has grown out of the willingness and the partnership and the conversations between us as a member of that action team, the action team, CTS and school. What are they? I think the power of the action team, certainly from my point of view, was yes, having everyone together, but more importantly, it was a place to be accountable for whatever needed to happen. And I've reflected on this, and sometimes we think, oh, it's just another meeting, but I think it's also, we're here, these are the objectives, what are each of us going to contribute actively in that space, and then what are we going to then report to the work that we're doing outside of the action teams. And that's the power of that action team. One of the things that the school did was organise a morning tea to invite the different partners to the school to learn about the amazing things that the students are doing. Board really encouraged the management team to attend, and almost everyone in the executive management team attended. Now that's a very special thing. For me as the officer, it meant again, what is the meaningful follow-up to us as a organisation at a high level, going to the school at that level and showing an interest. What then is the meaningful processes that we will now offer and work with in response to our being there, and in response to us being incredibly impressed by the school, by the teaching, by the capacities of the students. Again, being part of the ongoing action team, the partnership community action team, it allowed me to keep coming back, even though it was slow, saying, we're part of that action team. We've been to the morning tea. The school is saying how wonderful it was for us to be represented at the morning tea, and now what? What do we offer? The idea, in conversation with Mary from CTS and also with the school, the idea of a careers visit happens. We do tours of Darebin Council. It's embedded in our communication team. It's part of teaching kids about democracy, local democracy. So school with young people who have an intellectual disability. So there was an unsureness about what that meant. So we had to work through that unsureness, and the tour was a perfect way of doing that. Because the students were dynamic, they asked questions, they were really listening and wanting to know, and that the school showed a real commitment because the leadership team of the school accompanied the kids. And that was really important. One, because they also got to see how an organisation as big as this and as broad as this, what it offers to the community, and also how decisions are made. But as part of that tour, one of the students, a prior student of Croxton, that was serendipity. That wasn't planned. There he was when we went there, and of course that just created a real energy, a really positive, so there are employment opportunities here as well. How exciting for the students. Thing in opening up our own internal awareness of Croxton, but also the school's awareness and relationships with diverse staff across council, not just me as the conduit of the relationships. So it allowed a breadth of new relationships for the school to be created. Yeah, and the feedback was really, really positive from the teachers, from the VCAL coordinator. We all felt, okay, the trust is really strong there. And that's always part of the partnership. The trust grows, yes, at the table, but it actually grows through the actions we do together much more. And I have to acknowledge that CTS at that time was the bringer of those relationships together, and that's the value of it. Yeah. That we have a Pathways to Employment group, and CTS and the school had presented at that, and presented the idea of work experience of students. Now, there had been not hesitation, but just the timing wasn't right. But the success of the careers tour then allowed for the timing to actually be opened up. Let's follow up. Let's VCAL coordinator, having developed those relationships, followed up, and that was really exciting because the Pathways to Employment is exactly about opening up opportunities for young people for employment, both in council and in business externally. So in term 4, we had 6 Croxton students across different places, in the library, in the horticultural program, in parks and vegetation, in civic services, working with the staff there, and I think that's also been a really positive experience. Our disability access officer was able to also quickly develop a training program for the staff who were going to receive and support the students to be aware, to be able to know how to respond should anything complex come, and the school also offered ongoing support because very positive. I imagine those two things to be a continuous part of our relationship with Croxton, to actually be embedded. It doesn't mean that advocacy, internal advocacy, won't be needed. That's part of the process of change. There are many competing demands on all those things happening at council, but I think what's happened in 2015 is that we've made a commitment to Croxton School, we've made a commitment to the students from Croxton School for an ongoing process. It's not personal, it's not about one person, it's across the organisation, and that's what I mean by embedding it and making an ongoing commitment to it. And that we have structures, the Pathways to Employment Committee, where the Croxton School is there as a priority as well. Unsureness about what young people with intellectual disabilities might bring to the organisation, but also knowing how to be able to effectively and meaningfully support those young people, working through our own unsureness, attitudinal, but also in skills and capacity. That's probably the big one. Meaningful partnerships is a complex process. And Croxton School is very busy. All schools are very busy. Croxton School is very busy. Darebin Council, we're busy. We have a whole range of things going on. So it's not always easy to then say, okay, let's work together. So what CTS allowed was the time and the liaison to bring different partners, different organisations working in supporting and advocating for people with disabilities to the table together. It requires time, it requires priority. That's what CTS was able to do, was create the space in the Busy Schools program, create the space in a busy council environment where there are many priorities to focus on those students at Croxton School by offering the time and the links to each other, but also, you know, some of that administrative stuff that we all have to do when we're building partnerships, which is the documenting, but also the ideas of what could happen between us. Part of the other important contribution of CTS through the community action team was that there were different levels of staff of the school working together. So the leadership team was there, both principal and assistant principal, but so were a whole range of teachers who work on the Pathways program, whether it's VCAL, whether it's wellbeing, were also at the table. And often in my work with schools, I'm often only seeing one person, usually the principal. So that breadth of understanding how the school operates from diverse places in the school has also been an important part of the action team, and it's what CTS was able to contribute as well.